So what am I going to try and achieve today? Basically, we at FNB do a lot of mobile stuff. And I think this word mobile money gets used a lot for a lot of different things. And I think it's important for us to really assimilate what this whole thing means. It's not as simple as just money in a wallet that exists outside of the banking segment. Because generally, what I've come to understand is that generally mobile money has become the realm of mobile operators, firstly. And second, there's a very narrow kind of definition that people have used for mobile money. So firstly, I just want to get a couple of things out of the way. Fact number one, the world's mobile. I don't think we have to dwell on how much the mobile technologies, cell phones, GSM, and all that has come with it has changed the world. So that's the first fact. Second fact, mobile money is not new anymore. I attended a mobile money conference last week, and it was amazing to see how many vendors there are with mobile money solutions, mobile wallet solutions, mobile banking solutions. It is not a new thing anymore. It's an established industry, even though there's still a couple of things that we need to understand. This comes off the GSMA website. This is probably an understatement of the number of deployments. There's a lot of stuff happening out there, and people love putting the mobile money label on top of it. But I think the next important fact is there is no silver bullet either. So I'm not going to stand here and explain what is the easiest and the best way to do mobile money, and also how to make money out of it, because it's very unique. And I think with all those deployments, there's been very few real large success stories in the mobile money world. Okay, can everybody hear me properly? Because I can't hear myself well. Okay, awesome. So when we kick off, I want to just start to say, okay,
you are all welcome to join
free booze. I'm really hoping everybody can hear me outside the way we can hear them inside. Okay, so mobile money, what is it? And I think that's the most important thing that I've really been struggling with the last couple of years. Now, Gary, who's going to be the next speaker, we actually started our careers together. Hello, Gary. And we did a lot of work at MTN together. So I actually come out of telco. I worked in mobile telco in the beginning of my career and somehow ended up in banking, and I've been there a long time now. But if you look at mobile money, a lot of people, as I said, see it as a very singular thing. It's quite a myopic view. And I spent a lot of time trying to assimilate this thing in my head to understand what does it mean for me. So this is a very personal view, okay? There is no industry definition out there. So I'm just trying to find a way of defining this thing, this beast called mobile money. So a lot of people say, oh no, it's about how you store the money. It's about the value store. And I suppose when mobile money first started, it had to do with people accessing their bank account with their mobile phones. So it had to do with, it was either a bank account or you actually have a mobile money transfer happening. And when there's a mobile money transfer happening, money moves from one person to the next, and all the money that goes in goes out. So there is actually no value store. There's no wallet on the other side. And a lot of mobile money implementations is actually just pure money transfer. Then you have what I'm calling vouchers. Now, I hate using the word vouchers, but I don't know what to call it. It's either a voucher or a coupon. But basically, it's an electronic wallet that is linked to a mobile phone, and it is only utilized to purchase goods. The moment that you take cash out, you step straight into the realm of banks. So what a lot of operators have done is you buy value into this wallet. It may be called a currency, but you can only purchase goods and services with it. You can never actually get that cash out. And then the last one is what I call e-money. And that is the true realm of mobile money. In South Africa, there's only 2 real e-money implementations. And this is what's important here, is that the value that goes in can be, some of it can be left behind. You can do transactions on it, and the cash can come out. And the moment that you can cash money out on par, it becomes the realm of bank licenses and banks. And I think that's an important part of the definition. So if you look at the South African Reserve Bank, the way they've defined e-money is exactly this: an electronic store of value where the money can be redeemed in cash on par. Okay, everybody still with me here? So first way we can look at mobile money is the value store, and the value store connected to the cell phone in some way or other. Then some people say, no, it's got nothing to do with the value store. It's actually about the token. So what I mean by a token, accounts can have a lot of different ways of accessing that account, and I'm calling those tokens. And you can either have remote tokens, so I'm far away from where this money is stored. So you have a cell number with a GSM, so I've got a cell phone that I'm using to access my bank account, typical cell phone banking, either via USSD, SMS, IVR, your typical GSM type implementations. Here we go again. And the second one is you log in via data networks, utilizing a mobile device. And here it becomes much more blurry. You've got apps happening on phones, apps happening on tablets, and where does the line actually stop? And then if we look at what I'm calling local, where you actually have a value store sitting local, can everybody still hear me? Yes? Okay, awesome. Yay. Thank you, David. Okay, so where the value store is local, and this is typically the new stuff people are talking about. So in the old world, it had to do with cards, or with a card with a chip, or a contactless card, and NFC now being the big buzzword, where money is sitting locally on a chip, on the phone, and you can access it. So there's a lot of stuff happening. So when I start sticking mobile phones into this world of tokens, it becomes mobile money again. And then last way, people can say, oh, no, but it's about the channel. The mobile phone is used as a channel, and that's why we call it mobile money. So here it's things like where mobile phones become the POS device. Square. That's mobile money, isn't it? Or is it? I don't know. But a mobile phone there is used as the point of sale device. I'm taking money because the mobile phone technology is being utilized. And we're starting to see a lot of stuff happening in this space where the phones can become money sending devices as well as money taking devices, phone to phone, etc. So there's a lot of different ways we can look at mobile money. And then what's happening is people are applying these models in different ways and different mechanisms, and sometimes they overlap and sometimes they cross. And unfortunately, in a world of innovation, things happen quite differently based on who's trying to implement it. And it does take some time for an industry to establish itself, to establish standards, and actually settle into what it really is and what it really does. So if we start looking at the relevance of mobile money, I think a lot of hoo-ha, and it's very relevant, is made about the value of mobile phones and mobile money in the unbanked sector, banking for the poor, bottom of the pyramid. But I basically say, when I speak about mobile money, it is applicable to everyone, because there's various business models that you can apply if you cross this spectrum of the different market segments. And there's always going to be those that I call unbankable, those that are just too poor to bank, because you need to have money to put money into a bank. And a lot of people just do not actually physically have access to that kind of cash. In South Africa, 23% of our adult population get less than 1,000 rand per month. And I honestly don't know how they live or eat. It's a very scary statistic that we have such huge discrepancies in South Africa, but in a lot of other places in the world where there are still very, very poor people. But it doesn't mean that we can't still be relevant in their lives. When we look at the type of demographics in South Africa, most South Africans are dependent on their money from somebody else. And a lot of them are actually sending or receiving money across time and distance. Remittances. Money is being sent to my family, or I actually receive money from my family working somewhere. And it's important to note that I think we're really making inroads as banks and as service providers in this world, where 42% of the domestic remittances in South Africa are now running through mobile money services such as FNB eWallet, CashSend, or M-Pesa. That's very, very significant in my mind, and it was quite surprising for me to see this. So when I say, let's look at the business cases around mobile money, first business case, there's always going to be space for remittances. There's a lot of service providers out there, but there's still a lot of gaps that we can fill. And we should not forget about the value proposition to so many of the foreigners in South Africa to provide cross-border services. And here, you do not need to necessarily bank them. but you can always bridge that gap between the banked and the unbanked. When we go up a little bit, there's still a segment of people that earn money, but they are still unbanked. This is also a stat that really surprised me. 1 in 3 people who earn money in South Africa are not banked. They choose or they do not have a bank account. And if we start digging into the data a bit, we come to realize that the biggest problem is the fact that their income is irregular. So sometimes they have money, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And traditionally what has happened in South Africa is that bank accounts prefer people to have regular salaries and regular money coming in. Otherwise, your account goes dormant and we shut it down and all kinds of things. And I think in recent years there's been a lot of changes where the banks are actually really looking at different ways to make sure that these accounts are available to people because they have intermittent salaries coming through. But are we really catering for these type of customers? Are we really providing the right product sets for people who do not have a regular income and often get their income from others? You know, I think when in the world that we operate in, we look at the world very traditionally and we make a lot of assumptions about who people are and what people do. And if we look at some of the research that's been done, there was a wonderful project done by a lady by the name of Daryl Collins. She actually works with the Bankable Frontiers group in Boston now. And they wrote a book about what do the poor do with their money. And what they found is a very sophisticated way that the poor manage their money. It's just different. And because most of it's informal, because the formal systems are either too expensive or inaccessible for them or just doesn't work for them. And when we look at financial services, we need to understand that there's a lot of different things that we must offer to these customers. It's not just about the transactional banking. It's not just about payments. It is about credit. It is about savings. It is about insurance. It's about risk management. And I think in the mobile money world, we're mostly starting to see mobile money transfers happening and the payment stuff happening. But there's still a lot of stuff that can happen in terms of product design to actually start offering proper products to this level of customer. And I think with Vodacom announcing that they're selling insurance, they're going to start waking up the industry a little bit to say, you know, what are we really doing? And what we need to understand is that the financial behavior of the poor is driven by their daily needs. Firstly, sometimes they need just a cash flow for 2 days or 1 day. It's not about having a loan for 3 years. It's about helping me now because I've got a real need now and I'll pay you back as soon as I can. It's about small amounts. This is micro amounts going in and out. And it's about trying to find a way that we can affordably service those little amounts in and out. So if we look at the opportunities in this market, and I did borrow this from Daryl Collins, it is about helping them manage the day-to-day cash flow of customers. They need to have cash available when they need it. I mean, I think a really good example was a Spaza owner who she actually only takes a loan for 1 day just to buy stock. And as soon as she's sold the stock, she pays off the loan. But because of her daily expenditure and her family responsibility, she never has quite enough money to buy the stock to sell. So it's just a little bridging finance that she needs. But it's a couple of hundred rand. It's not thousands of rands. Remittances, very important here. Covering unexpected spend, low value recurring spend. So insurance here plays a big role, risk management. And what they found in the FinScope study is that about 60% of people that they studied do not have a means of covering emergencies. So if those emergencies that they are scared of happens, they just don't have anything to help them through, whether it be death or illness or unemployment or whatever happening. So insurance is a very important thing here. South Africa, we do not have a savings culture. And it is difficult in a low interest environment to offer decent savings products. But it's also about understanding how people at the bottom of the pyramid want to save. They save in little bits at a time. And the interesting thing that I found is that they also don't want access to those savings. You must make it difficult for me not to have access to the money. Otherwise, I'm going to spend it. So one of the guys who work for me came to me and said, "Can you please put money in my safe at home?" And I said to him, "But why, Edmore? You've got a bank account." He says, no, he doesn't want the money in his bank account because then he's going to spend it. And he wants to save it so he can take it home to Zimbabwe. So it's very important that we understand how they save and how savings work in that environment. And something interesting that came out of a recent IFC study as well in South America, they found that the poor, I don't know why it does that, they find that the poor are saving in little bundles, little heaps of money. So there's actually a little heap for school fees and a little heap for emergencies. Because sometimes you will dig into your school fees money, but you'll never dig into the emergency fund. So it's about understanding those little nuances around the needs of those customers. And all-purpose loans. I think South Africa, we've got quite a different microfinance industry. It's very personal focused. But a lot of other countries, microfinance is much more enterprise focused, if you look at the Grameen model and things like that. So what's the business case? The business case here is microfinancial services that is designed for the market. I think we've tried too hard to retrofit banking products down into the market segments. It's more about going back and taking a real look at what these people need and actually designing the products from the ground up. And I don't think this has been done anywhere as of yet. Then if we start going into the bank sector, this is where everybody wants to play. This is the customers that we all want. And this is quite a saturated sector as well. And here it is more about providing proper services to the customers we have. It's much more lucrative because these customers have money. And this is where the exciting stuff is happening, the cool stuff. You know, it's all the stuff that's going around mobile banking. And mobile banking has become not just a channel to access my bank account, but I'm buying stuff, I'm buying prepaid, I'm buying electricity, I'm accessing my share information, I'm cross-selling my products to customers on mobile banking, they're opening up other accounts. A huge amount of scope inside the mobile banking. But what is also happening is this digital payments thing that I think is, as of yet, undefined, as of in the whole thing where people pay with their phones. And I was just saying earlier that, to Stephen, that there's so much stuff happening all the time. Even now, as I was sitting here, I picked up new things. And there's a thing that there was a study recently out of, it's about 1,400 consumers. No, it's more than that, must be more. About 4,000 consumers in 14 different countries that they interviewed. South Africa was one of them. And they coined a term which was called smart fanatics. Smartphonatics, yes, something like that. Where they coined this term for people who have smartphones and have changed significantly their banking and financial behavior because they have a smartphone. So this last 2 years of the smartphones hitting this market is going to make radical changes to the way we pay and we pay others. And in that study, what was really interesting for me was that they basically listed the countries. And they looked at countries like China, India, the US, Europe, a lot of European countries, as well as South Africa. And South Africa was the second largest market for smart fanatics, for people who want to pay with their mobile phones. And that is a very exciting thing for me because mobile payments is where I want to be. And then obviously there's this big buzzword around NFC. I don't know where it's going to go yet. NFC is a difficult one. It's a bit like EMV. It's a bit like trying to implement a new technology. If you're all from telcos here, it's like trying to roll out 3G on top of a 2G network. So you have to have the phones in the market. You have to have the network in the market. To get something like NFC up and running, you have to have all the devices at all the shops so they can read those chips. And your phones all have to have the chip inside. And then you have to have accepted standards between the network operators, between the SIM card providers, the banks, the associations, etc., etc. There's a very complicated world that still needs to be sorted out in my mind. So I think NFC is still, in my mind, somewhere away. A lot of people will not agree with me, though. So what is the business case in this market? It's about creating new markets. It's about replacing cash and micropayments. It's about small values. It's about not having this hassle of when I go and walk out of a parking lot that I have to go put cash in a machine. Can't I just wave my phone at the machine and I can pay? I mean, how awesome would that be? So what trends are we spotting in this world? And there are so many things. As I said, there are so many things happening. But I think the more and more, both at an industry level, at a standards level, as well as overall, my mobile phone is my identifier. Now, I lost my phone on Friday. I'm phoneless, and I'm lost. It's awful. I don't have a SIM card. I've got a horrible little 80 Rand phone with a prepaid SIM card in it because I'm trying to get everything together. And it's like I can't do anything. I can't do my cell phone banking. I can't do my banking on app. I can't use my WhatsApp and SMS, and people can't get hold of me. It's horrible because we are now defined by our cell phone numbers. And even further, we are now starting to be defined by our devices. You know, my iPad actually finds me in the world, and I can find my iPhone and my iPad in the cloud. There's a lot of very esoteric things happening, except I couldn't find my iPhone on the cloud because the buggers switched the phone off. So it doesn't always work. But the fact is that the phone is becoming me, and I've become my phone. It's a very scary thought, but it is happening. Traditional models are not, I mean, they're not even just challenged, they're going to be destroyed. And I think it's important that we see that we cannot operate in a traditional way anymore. And as much as we would like to believe that as banks we have, I mean, the trust factor and the engagement with our customers, those trust factors are changing. And I think recently there was a statement by I mean, just imagine Apple becoming a bank overnight. They'll have access to millions and millions and millions of customers, because people are, or millions and millions and millions of customers are already spending their money with iPhone every day and with Apple every day. It is a very scary thought. So things will change very quickly and can change very quickly, and every phone can now become a point of sale system. So your traditional models set up by the traditional networks and infrastructure may not be relevant anymore. And it's important for us to keep track with it rather than try and fight it. And last thing is everybody wants in. This is, and I still, you know, mobile money is this thing that everybody wants in, everybody wants to try it out, everybody thinks there's a business case, they're just not sure what yet, but they want in. And there was this really interesting article in the New York Times last year that they spoke about a thing called a goat rodeo. And basically they said, you've got all these companies competing with each other. And it's pretty much a goat rodeo, love that word, until someone sorts it out. And that's the thing. You've got a lot of very big players wanting to play in this world, and we're not quite sure yet how it's going to work out. So I know I've run out of time. I quickly just wanted to just show you the stuff that FNB's done, very quickly. And what we've done is we've tried to create a mobile strategy that cuts across all the segments. So in the unbankable and the unbanked world, we've got the FNB eWallet, where anybody can send money to anyone. It is open to any person. I think it's very important. Any South African can have access to an eWallet. They just have to go to any of our participating retailers. And they show their ID, and they can get an e-wallet. And then they've got access to all the services that you can do on an e-wallet, such as get my cash in and out, prepaid airtime. I can do electronic payments into bank accounts from this e-wallet. I can do bill payments. I can do person-to-person payments. And what it means is that even if I don't have a bank account, I've got access to the formal financial services and formal payment system. Very important. We're bridging that gap. And we've sent over 1.7 billion rand to e-wallets thus far. Next step up is our banked customers, and this cell phone banking has been the winner here. FNB is the leader in cell phone banking in South Africa. Sorry, Gary. So far. And what we've done is we've tried to cover full service banking across a wide spectrum. And I think that's very important. You have to find a way that everybody can use the service. So we started with very simple technologies, and we've tried to cover all the technologies, looking at all the handsets that we have in the market. So we've got USSD, we've got .mobi, and we also have the app now. And over 4 million customers are actually using cell phone banking regularly. And then lastly, the FNB app has been making quite a lot of waves. It was the first banking app in South Africa. The only other app I think that currently exists in South Africa for banking is the RMB app. So it's one of our sister companies. It's full banking functionality. And what's really nice is now you can take all that funky stuff that you've got in smartphones and bring it into banking. It's actually starting to make banking quite fun. You can make calls, you can do full banking functionality, and we've recently launched a new thing called Geo Payments. And Geo Payments actually uses proximity to pay somebody. So anybody here who banks with FNB? Yes? Okay, anybody who's got the app on their phones? Okay, the first person who displays that they're ready to accept payment from me will get 10 Rand from me right now. So let's see how quick you are. Quick on the draw. So I'm opening up my app. Okay, I'm going to Geo Payments. Okay, pay someone. Okay, now I'm listening. Who's ready to accept payment? Steve, you win. Awesome. Okay. So what I've done is I found him, and I'm now going to actually give him some money. Sorry. There you go. You received your money? He's got his money. Okay, so what we've just done is mobile money, guys. This is the magic of technology, of smartphones all coming together in one magical second. Thank you very much.